See, there are a lot of games that are being remastered nowadays, such as Dead Space, and it didn't even be remastered; it was remade, completely different from the OG Dead Space. And I gotta say, it actually looks lovely, and I can't wait to play it. But with a lot of games being remade these days, it just leads me to question like, what other games should be remade? And with EA stepping back into their bag with the Dead Space series, you just know there's something new for that franchise is coming. I do expect Dead Space 2 and 3 to get remade completely from the ground up. So I say, you know what other games should be remade, right? And I start thinking, Freddie, what game would you like to see? And I talked about this 4 years ago on my main YouTube channel, HhurnisWang. One of the main games that I've really been waiting for, and I spoke on this 4 years ago because there was indication that a new version of Def Jam was supposed to come out, and we haven't heard nothing. Nothing zip, not just speculations and fan made theories. And I just gotta say, I'm gonna throw it out there. EA, we need a remake of Def Jam. Def Jam, we need a remake. We need it built from the ground up. And I just gotta say, I don't care if it's a brand new game or if you go back and remaster or remake Def Jam Vendetta, Def Jam Fight for New York, and Icon. I didn't really play Icon, didn't really care for it because it wasn't Fight for New York, and the feel of it was just so different. But the first two were so amazing. It really had me and the homies in the living room going crazy, playing as your favorite superstar and just pulling out all kind of moves, using the blades and Fight for New York, the logo, the not the logo, but the slangs. David Banner saying crooked, crooked, Like I just love that, man. That second one was just so amazing. It really built up on the foundation that the first one had set. And man, New York really set that standard for Def Jam fighting games to come. And like I said, Icon for me didn't live up to the expectation with that build your label BS career mode. Now a lot of people probably did like that, but I didn't like the whole DJ mixing up thing. Like I really want to go in just on some brawl stuff. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I really want to go in so crazy. And then for me, Icon was kind of like sluggish and slow. And it's like certain moves you do, the characters just move so slow versus like Fight for New York. It's like the input was just on point. And I feel like they had a very big roster with the second one, and they kind of decreased it with the third one. Vendetta was one of the good ones. It was good. It introduced us to that world of possibilities of pro wrestling slash hip hop stars. So I was like, yo, this game is dope. And it originally released on the PS2 and the GameCube, and I remember having it on the GameCube. And it released back in 2003. So the first two were back to back. It was 2003 then 2004. And yeah, the second one when it released, it was on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. So first one, Vendetta. You basically got introduced to the game. You had the main man who was D Mob, and you had his crew going against another crew. So there was like a limited list of actual hip hop artists in the game versus made up characters. So the list goes on to say you have Capcom, D Mob, Dabo, DMX, Funk Master Flex, Ghostface Killer, Joe Button, Keith Murray, Ludacris, Method Man, Nori, Redman, Scarface, S-Word, and WC. Now that was a pretty solid cast right there. Like especially with the Ludacris, man, you know, got put on for the South. But a lot of the made up fighters was Ari Briggs, Carla, Chuckles, Cruz, Denji, Debo, Daja, and it would have been funny if Debo was actually in there, like Craig and Day Day Debo. Or Craig and Smokey Debo. Then you had somebody named Drake, which it wasn't Drake that we know and love. Then you had somebody named Headache, House, Iceberg, Manny. So you can kind of see like they had like some superstars in there. Then they had to make up a lot of characters. So the first one was just it was cool. It was nice. It was kind of fun to play with. You know, you kind of got to hang up. The story was good. The fighting was cool. But that second one, New York, I'm gonna expand on that because I spent more time playing New York than I did Vendetta. And with New York, it really changed the game because of his, like I said, man, it had a big roster of characters. The super moves each person had was crazy. The story was amazing. The fighters, the difficulty. Yo, fighting like Sticky Fingers, Fat Joe, and Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, like, yo, that was like one of the most nerve-wracking things in my gaming history because those guys really were like they were difficult. Like I used to get mad because Snoop Dogg used to pull out these just unreasonable ass moves. Like, yo, he used to do some stuff, and I'd be like, how? It's like I remember one point I was like, Snoop Dogg can't do that in real life. Like that's how mad I used to get. Be like, he can't do that shit in real life. And I was a little kid saying this, so it was like, man, the game was good. Then like playing against your friends, beating them, and just everything, and like It was fun, man. The maps, the story, the way how you was able to pick where you wanted to go, the tag team fights. It was a dope game. And it really set that game, my fighter squad versus your fighter squad. It was just so amazing. It was so appealing. It attracted a lot of fans. And even to this day, a lot of people be streaming it on TikTok and Twitch. Or not so much Twitch, but I know TikTok for sure. I would catch a lot of people streaming Fight for New York. The cast for New York is, like I said, man. First up, you had Capcom, you had Capone, you had Comp, D Mob, Eric Sermon, Flavor Flav, Freeway, Ghostface Killer again, Henry Rollins, Joe Budden, Ludacris returns again, Memphis Bleak, Method Man back again. No, this is the first game he was in. Then you had Nori again, Redman, Doc. So, Method Man and Redman were like the two main characters in the story that basically put you on your missions and everything in your squad. Then you had Scarface, Sticky Fingers, WC. And I remember, I said Sticky Fingers got on my nerves too. Then you had Crow's Crew, which was Snoop Dogg. So you got Snoop Dogg as Crow. Then you got Baby Chris, David Banner, Bless, Bone Crusher, Bubba Sparks, Busta Rhymes, Crazy Legs, another difficult person, along with Elephant Man, Family, Fat Joe. Like I said, Fat Joe got on my damn nerves. Havoc, Ice T, Little Flip, Mac 10, Omar Epps. Then you have Prodigy, Sean Paul, Slick Rick, Snoop Dogg, as I already said. Trejo, Danny Trejo was in there. Warren G, Exhibit. And then you had circuit fighters by the name of, you had Carmen Electra, actress, model, singer. You had somebody named by the Chiang, Bo, Sidney J, Cruz, Dan G House. You had Jacob Jervis, Kimura. If you don't know Kimura, we're talking about Kimura Lee, I believe. Then we had Lil Kim, which was another big thing, was like seeing a lot of female artists, actress, models coming to the game. So it was like, yo, this is a big thing for us because it's like a lot of people that we know in the community was in this game. Then you had Shawana. So it really was a big roster in this game. New York really had a special place for me. The way how they fought, like I said, the blaze moves, the specials, it went crazy. It's like when you did your blaze moves, it was just on another level. Like David Banner, like I said, like he was like on gorilla mode when you put his blaze mode into effect. And then Crow or Snoop Dogg, his was like with hands and feet combo, like martial arts. Now, Crazy Legs, that's the one. That's the one who had like the most craziest leg combo blaze mode ever seen. He would flip you in the air, push you out, do all this stuff. Bone Crusher literally would take you, bear hug you, and break your back. And it'd be so amazing when you do a blaze move and then injure your opponent in the way how it's just going to slow mo and throw them down. Then they get to their little, they motto, their slogans, and they just disrespect them. I'm like, yo, this game is just crazy. As a kid, this game was going crazy. And then being able to play it on all three of the biggest consoles at that time was just so amazing. So I had it on GameCube. My homie had it on Xbox, and another homie had it on PS2. So if we went to whoever house to spend the night on the weekends or whatever, it's just everybody had it. So we all was playing it. We all made sure we had extra controllers. Like for me on my GameCube, I already had 4 controllers anyway. Mario Kart and stuff like that. The homie who had the Xbox and the PS2, they had extra controllers. So with the PS2, they had like the adapter to where you plug in 4 controllers, and the Xbox came with 4 ports for a controller. So we was actually able to just play this game a lot. And that was from 2004 up to 2007 when the 360 version came out. And when the 360 version came out and we heard about it, Icon, I didn't really put too much hype into it. I was like, looking at the trailer, I was like, it's okay. It seems all right. It doesn't seem like it's my cup of tea. The game finally comes out. We give it a try. We try to play it, and I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't the same as the second one, which, you build on a foundation. You try to make something better or try something new. That new wasn't for us. We couldn't handle it. And not saying that we couldn't handle it, but we choose not to handle it. And so it became one of those games where, like, everybody kind of was just like, nah, this ain't it for us. Everybody just basically gravitated away from the game. And it wasn't horrible, but the roster was smaller. The build your label mode, I didn't care for it. And then the whole mixing DJ boom stuff, I didn't care for that. And then I felt like the players played really sluggish. Like when you tried to avoid or dodge, it's like when they roll, tuck and roll, they moved so slow. So I felt like the game was underdeveloped for me, and it didn't have that fast pace or like the same combat style that they had in Fight for New York. Honestly, I would have took them remastering Fight for New York over Icon. Like I literally could go without Icon even being remade or remastered at this point. Honestly, just the first two would set the world at peace with the Def Jam series. Honestly, in my opinion, I'm just saying. I remember at this time, I didn't care for Icon at all, so I went back to playing Fight Night Round 3, the boxing game. Yeah. So, Icon's list was very short, like I said, and they did have more noticeable people in this game compared to the first one. And the base roster basically started with Big Boy from Atlanta, Bun B. So I feel like this one was more gravitated towards like the West Coast and the down south, because the first two kind of had more of a New York style to it. So the third one more had like a down south type of vibe to it, which is cool. You know, I remember one of the maps was like Atlanta type of, you know, map where they was like fighting at the gas station. Now that map was actually live, but the thing I did hate was like how running around that map was just so confusing. Everything was just like, man, it's just giving me a headache thinking about it. But the roster goes Big Boy, Bun B, E40, Ghostface Killer. He returned again. I think he was in all three of them. Then you had Jim Jones, which I kind of like that. Jim Jones was in Kano, Little John, Ludacris again, Mike Jones, Paul Wall. Now, for me, Mike Jones and Paul Wall being in the game and then seeing like T.I., The Game, and Young Jeezy, that had me hype. The first two games were developed by AKI Corporations and EA Canada, while the third one was developed by EA Chicago. So I kind of felt like the third one had potential, possibly if it get remastered and actually, you know, if it gets remastered and they actually like fix up on a lot of the problems that was in that game, I think it could be a great remastered game. Or they could remake it from the ground up and just change up the story mode and everything. And I feel like Icon could be that game that they could really like change the whole series with. See, the first two, you have to leave those alone. If you remake it and build it from the ground up, like how they're doing Resident Evil 4, not saying EA doing it, but just like how Resident Evil 4, for example, at Final Fantasy 7, Dead Space, how when they built that from the ground up, they changed a lot of things but kept the story the same and the characters stuff. With Def Jam Vendetta in New York, if we was to get that built up from the ground back up, I would like to see that keep its foundation for both of them, the characters and everything. But the third one, if you remake that game, you have to like change it completely, in my opinion, to make it work. Because Def Jam Icon, it could be big. It's kind of like remastering Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2018 version, and the Modern Warfare 2 that just came out this past year. They remastered, they didn't even remaster, they just completely used the name to reamp the whole hype behind it and stuff, right? So if you take Def Jam Icon and remake it nowadays, I promise it could go great, especially with all the music artists that's out there right now. So it could boom. And then just knowing that they could change the story up, the story mode could be different, adding a bunch of characters to the game, incorporating multiplayer, and just try to keep out microtransactions. I mean, you might have to have microtransactions in the game to keep supporting it, clothes, shoes, watches, stuff like that. Because it could kind of be like in a brawl. This is the idea. Take NBA 2K Park style and incorporate it into the Def Jam Icon series, where it's like you go around the arenas, it's like different arenas, like tag teams, triple threats, stuff like that, and you just join in and the match goes on to whoever wins and see how long that team can keep winning until they fall flat and somebody else take the throne from them. It's just a bunch of ideas out there. But I can see Icon returning, but just improved, compared to the first one. So here I am basically asking EA, what's up? Def Jam EA, what's up? Who we got to talk to get this Def Jam on and going? Because your boy got so many ideas for the game, and I definitely would like to see this series return. I'm pretty sure a lot of other Def Jam fans would like to see this game return. You guys come in the comments box down below and tell me what you think, what you would like to see for the game. Would you rather a remastered version with 1080p 60 frame support, or would you rather see just a whole complete remake? I'm talking about graphics A1 built up from the ground up. They released Vendetta first and then New York, and then they have enough time to work on the third one. And then if they decide to keep the third one the same, then what about a fourth one? Because the last one I thought it should have came out should have been like Def Jam Worldwide or something like that. But like I said, take that Def Jam Icon, remake and rebuild on that name. We got us a solid Def Jam series back in the series, baby. I'm just saying, we need to bring it back alive. But that's enough of me talking. I'm pretty sure y'all tired of it. So just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click the bell, get notified every time I upload a brand new video. It's your boy Hurnis. I'm out, baby.